We're now listening to Wealthy Sistas Radio Show. We're now listening to Wealthy Sistas with Deborah.
Well, great morning, and welcome to Wealthy Sistas Radio with a View. I am Deborah Hartnett, your host, and I am, as always, I need to stop saying super excited and say super grateful first, because I am, you guys. I am so grateful to be able to share this space and time with you. I consider it an honor because I know how valuable time is. And anytime anyone takes the time out to check out what we're doing here on Wealthy Sistas Radio, I must say thank you so much. Again, it is my pleasure to share this experience today. And as always, you know our purpose here at Wealthy Sistas Radio with a View is twofold. First, we want to make sure that we are providing you with inspiration and encouragement for those dreams, for those visions, those things that you might be a little afraid to step out on. My prayer is that here on the show today and the shows in the past and God willing in the future, that you're able to get something to ignite you, right? Not just something to ignite you, but also something that will give you practical knowledge that you can apply to your life and to your business, not just on a delay, but on an immediate impact. See, we're all about solutions. And our second purpose is to make sure that we provide, because we have to. It is a must. It is crucial, especially today. Let me not get too excited, but let me tell you, it is so important that we are able to provide a platform to share, to show, to promote, to edify, and say thank you to the sisters and our brothers for doing big things. Because if you turn on the regular media, you turn on and listen to the regular radio stations, you will not see that we are multidimensional. You would think that there is only one track for our success, you know, if you can say, when we're talking about financial success or leadership. But I'm here to tell you there are so many powerful things that we are doing. And it is an honor to be able to have this show today, because my friend that's coming on today, I'm telling you, when I tell you, I've just been so blessed. You know, they say that you can tell a person by the people that they're surrounded by. And I don't know how this happened. I'm just saying I am blessed of God, because he has put certain people in my life who've paved the way, who have rich characters, who have drive, who have high standards, and who want to impact and change the world. And the lady that I have on today is one of those who's leading the charge. She's one of the first that's doing it the way that she's doing it. She is none other than, let me just let you check out this visual. That is right. She's none other and Miss Tonya Saunders with Washington Premier Group. And let me just bring her in here. I see that she's having a little technical difficulties. Y'all know where we are when it's a little challenge with technical difficulties. That means it's going to be a great show. So let's see here. We're having a little problem. Let's see. Device is not connected. Okay. All right. Let me just tell her to log back in and log out. Just one moment, give you a little background music. You know, I love this platform. If you're wanting to start your show, I am using StreamYard, guys. This is great. They've got this background music on here. Let me put a little music on for you while we get Miss Tonya on. Okay, she's coming back. I see that she is coming back. Okay, she's all right. I see her. Let's see. Okay, so she is unable. Oh, she's coming, but hold tight. Today we are going to be talking about why should business owners, if they should, we're going to let Ms. Tonya, the expert, answer that. Why should business owners consider lobbying, or shall I say, consider hiring a lobbyist or hiring a lobbying firm. So she is someone that has 20 plus years in this industry on Capitol Hill. And I really didn't understand it until I met her and was able to start seeing and understanding, because we all have our opinions about how things are done. And certainly, I'm sure she will agree that there are needs for reform with this process. But the importance of for us having business, being business owners, having our interests put before so that the laws that are passed don't negatively, impact us. So 1 second, I see her trying to come back in. Thank you for joining us. You are here on Wealthy Sistas Radio with a View. One moment here. We'll be right back. All right, well, she is working it out now. We're having a little technical difficulties, but as I said, anytime this happens, I know that it is going to be a great show, and there's some information that the enemy don't want you to have. So she's dialing in. She's going to try through another device. I've been saying this, that I believe that technology is starting to rebel against us. I think we're overworking it. All righty. How is that working for you? Okay. Not a problem. Not a problem at all. So again, I want to welcome you to our show. We'll be starting here in a moment. But while we are waiting, I do want to let you know just a couple of information or some friendly announcements. We are super excited to let you know that Wealthy Sistas Radio with a View is now featured on the blackusa.news. Again, that's blackusa.news. You didn't hear me? You need a visual? Check this out. That's right. That's my brother, Mr. Donnie Morton Glover out of Baltimore, who has this incredible platform with information for our community. Information from politics, from business to social, economic, all types of information that you want to check out. So go to blackusa.news, and I promise you, you will find something there that will be of great value to you. Now, another thing that I would want to talk about today also is to remind you that we are wanting you to subscribe. We are needing you to subscribe. If you find this to be valuable, rich content for yourself, definitely you want to make sure that you subscribe so that you can get the information firsthand. You could get that notification. Here she is. You could get that notification when we are going to be airing something live here to remind you about our shows. But with all that said, let me just present to you again this phenomenal woman. I tell you, she looks like she's been on the beach. Looking great. You know, she is one of, like I said, she's setting ablaze, a trendsetter. I have so much respect for Miss Tonya Saunders. She's the founder of Mid-Tier Advocacy. That is an incredible organization that's supporting corporations, major corporations, when they graduate from the 8A. She's also the CEO and founder of Washington Premier Group. And she's going to share more about that and why business owners should consider, especially small business owners, should consider hiring a lobbyist. So Tonya, my sister, thank you so much for being here. Welcome again to Wealthy Sistas Radio with a View.
It is my pleasure to be here, and I hope that everyone can hear me well. I'm calling in from my phone, and I do apologize for the technical problems. Gremlins or something got into the computer and just would not let me access the show.
No, that's okay. You know, I share with everyone that, you know, absolutely, when these things like this happen, it's a part of life, right? And
Absolutely.
We also know that something special is going to happen from it, you know, because anytime we have challenges, you know, that person that quits, they never find out what's on the other side, right? But that's right. It's the story of the acres of diamonds. The person had to own the farm, was digging and digging, couldn't find it, quit, gave up, sold it, person came in, boom, boom, boom. Couple of digs, found it. All they had to do was go to the next spot. So we know that's what this show is going to be like today. Miss Tonya, if you don't mind, you've been here before, and we are just so honored to have you here again, and thank you. And we value your time. Know you have meetings to attend to today. But if you would, just for those who haven't had the privilege of getting to know you, if you just take a little moment and introduce to us who Tonya Saunders is, you know, those ingredients that went into this powerful recipe that we see today.
Well, again, Deborah, thank you so much for having me. Yes, and it is, in fact, a pleasure to be back here on your show. Another very powerful woman, I must add. My story is maybe not as impressive as some think, but here it is. I am indeed a mother and a grandmother. I started from the hills of West Virginia, took a path to the hills of Washington, D.C. It was an interesting journey along the way. I worked with the Secretary of State's office in West Virginia before coming to Washington, where I was very happy to work for my then Senator Jay Rockefeller, who represented the state of West Virginia. I was on Capitol Hill for about 5 years, working in legislative arena. I've always had a penchant for the policy side. Some may call that wonkism. I get very excited looking over policy and regulations and trying to figure out how to assist and make life better for a number of people, primarily those who are doing business or trying to do business with the federal government, as Deborah alluded to. But again, I've had a history of working with major corporations, nonprofits, building coalitions, working on healthcare issues for seniors, Medicare, reimbursement for our citizens and folks in Puerto Rico. I've done a number of things over the past 20 plus years. Currently, as Deborah also mentioned, I am the founder and chairman of Mid-Tier Advocacy, which is an organization of small, emerging federal contractors who are trying to do business with the federal government. And in that space, they are growing. However, they are considered too small to be big and too big to be small. And we've been trying for the past decade to build a bridge for them to cross into a larger size. whether that means, working with folks on Capitol Hill in the lawmaking bowels of Congress, or directly talking with federal agencies. And Deborah also is one of our founding board members. She's been with the organization now for over a decade and has helped tremendously in putting together our information that we need to be front and center for folks to find what we're doing, building out our website, helping with the content, advising us in technical capacity, as she so eloquently did today to help me get connected here. But nonetheless, her question, Deborah, getting to your question, why should a small company employ a lobbyist? Well, one of the main things, let's first talk about what is a lobbyist. A lobbyist is a person who helps to open doors as well as connect members of Congress to their constituencies and industries. And not all times is that easy to do if, in fact, you as a constituent are trying to reach out to your member. And what lobbyists have done over the years, and who have worked on the Hill like myself, is we understand the legislative arena. We understand the process of moving legislation through Congress and how sometimes confounding that can be for someone who isn't always dealing with the congressional calendar and the congressional members and the staff and all of those things. So we're here really to assist with access, to some extent influence based on our previous relationships with people that we've come to know, irrespective of party and sometimes, as well as strategies. What are the best ways to approach an issue that you are having concern about? So for the most part, if you look at your business and you're looking at how to best spend your dollars, where you can have the most impact to assist with the objectives and goals that you've set, businesses sometimes hire lobbyists to help advance their concerns. And that's the role that I'm in. I try to help advance concerns of my clients. In fact, currently I represent a number of corporate entities, but I also represent a pretty powerful group of women, federally employed women, which is a nonprofit organization, nonpartisan. We work to advance women in government. And what does that mean? It means a number of the issues that they care about are issues that we're currently dealing with on a national front, such as paid family leave. We're still trying to find our way out and through this pandemic that we're in. However, people that are working, if you get sick, you need time off to take care of yourself, or you need possibly time off to take care of a loved one. And how do we best deal with that? A lot of us are not independently wealthy and can sit home and absorb those costs, especially with the downturn in the economy. So those type issues, child care issues, that will allow, again, predominantly women to re-enter the workforce. So those issues are what they care about. On the other hand, there are companies that are trying to figure out how are they to include the objectives of diversity, equity, and inclusion, which, if you've heard, the Biden and Harris administration are very committed to in embracing diversity into the federal government, into federal contracting, and to the extent that they have as from the executive branch to include this in how requirements, RFPs, everything is being handled. And for small business owners, particularly minority companies, this is going to mean additional opportunity, additional money, additional work. So, and if we look at the other side of what the federal government is doing, and the Biden-Harris administration has focused on, is to hire more people. The federal government right now, and I've been telling all my friends, all my relatives, my nieces, my nephews, my play cousins, anybody, look, the government
Here comes an announcement. Listen.
The government is hiring. So if you want, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but if you want a good government job,
good government job,
and
I was going to say it's back.
Growing up, you
get
need
that
to
good
get a
government
good
job.
Well, guess what? Now's the time. And in fact, if you have had any kind of troubles along the way, which a number of us, let's be real, have had someone who's been incarcerated for whatever the occurrence has been. Well, there's a recidivism program.
Oh, that's good.
They are hiring people who have records. That is not going to be considered a stain, in fact.
That's
so
good.
These are some new things that maybe, Deborah, you hadn't heard about. But
I hadn't. But I know of a story, though. I had someone, I can't even remember who it was, told me about a relative of theirs who was Wendy's. I'm going to shout them out. Wendy's hired them as an assistant manager. And I thought, wow, that's great that, this seems to be changing, even though we know, what is it? Necessity is the mother of invention. The workforce is demanding that you take a look at people now. And that's good. Absolutely. That's good. Yeah.
In addition to taking a look at people, in the event you don't have a 4-year college degree. And I can share with your audience that along the way, life happens. And maybe people haven't finished college, right? That is being removed as well as a barrier to entry. So there are opportunities for a lot of different people who are at various stations in life, who have various reasons for whatever their circumstances are. There are opportunities where you can now advance. And that is the critical thing that needs to get out. I know in all of the noise we hear, and all of the things going on, some of these things get overshadowed. So I was really looking forward, Deborah, to be on today to kind of share some of this information.
And well, I appreciate you sharing that, and that's what we're about here, is that type of information. We when people see Wealthy Sisters, they automatically think, okay, we're the brothers. Is it? I'm like, no, it's not a man bashing show. That's not what we do.
Oh no,
we love our kings. We love our men, right? But and our brothers, right? We love
indeed.
them.
Here.
Absolutely. But this is a show about business.
Yes.
And it just happens to be that I'm a woman, so I'm going to share perspectives from only what I know, right? And that's why we have Wealthy Sisters platform. So this information that you're sharing is very important, from a nonpartisan perspective. Who does not want to share with their family that their government is hiring? So just since you mentioned that, do you know if someone is listening and they don't know, well, what do I do? What office do I go to, or what website, or where would I find this information of what type of job I could get without a degree, and with a record?
Go to usajobs.gov for information on all of the jobs that are available. However, GSA made an announcement. That's General Services Administration, the General Services Administration. You can Google that or simply go to gsa.gov. They're hiring thousands of people. They're doing interviews by phone. A lot of the positions that we're talking about don't necessarily require in-office participation.
That's awesome.
Yes. And in fact, for the announcements, I will share links with you, Deborah, so that you can
Okay.
share with your audience. I know that you post information, and you will be able to post the information. It's public domain. And before I forget, I want to also point out for those that are business owners and who will be looking for opportunities to engage with the infrastructure law, which includes grants as well as requests for procurement, RFPs. But right now, they are beginning through the Department of Commerce, the Minority Business Development Agency, to roll out grant opportunities, and several have been posted. If you are an IT provider, if you're in the business of working with telecommunications of any kind, go to Broadband USA. There's information there. There's going to be additional information. The Treasury Department, I believe, also has placed grants that that the applications are now open. So I'm saying all of this to say that pay attention to the federal government websites for additional information on how to engage on the grants that are coming. And also, if you have relationships with your state governments, there's going to be a lot of collaboration opportunities. Going back still to the first premise that I discussed, which is this administration has a heavy emphasis on diversity, equity, and inclusion in the grant making, the from whether it's with partnering with HBCUs, because there's opportunities there if you are a federal contractor to contact
And what does that look like? Because some people, I know a lot of people might not even be aware. I lived in DC. That's how I was honored to meet you, you know, and when I moved there, I was just completely blown away by just the fact that there are so many more government agencies that I had no idea of. But just what does it look like? You know, if you could just give a quick definition of government contracting. Government contracting, what is that?
Okay. Okay, quickly. Let's say you are a small business and you have you are involved with providing supplies. I'll use suppliers because it's somewhat simple, meaning that you want to sell something that the government wants to buy, whether it's pencils or it's something more complicated in the electronic vehicle space, whatever it is. You have to first go to sam.gov and get registered in order to do business with the federal government. After you get your information uploaded, you'll receive a confirmation from the system, matching up your IRS number and all of those things. And you will then be set to actually do business. The next thing, as a small business or a startup, you begin to look for these opportunities based on your capabilities, what it is that you're trying to sell or buy. If you're selling a product, then chances are you have to be able to get on a schedule with the General Service Administration. And a schedule simply means you list the product. So that's another process. Everything is about process and procedure with the federal government, as it is with state governments. So once you have gone through all of the process and procedures, now you're ready to sell. Well, you want to find the agency who wants to buy what you're selling. And once you connect to that agency, and again, here's where the mid-tier advocacy organization actually plays a significant role, because what we try and do is, in addition to assist businesses with their growth, we bring companies together, we bring federal agencies together, through our online events now since COVID, but we bring everyone together to sit at the table so that we all learn together what the government agencies, what's their mission, what are they buying, do I have any capabilities that would put me in position for me to sell to them. And that's
Awesome.
really the formula.
That's awesome. And it's a lot of opportunities around that,
It
So, and
is.
even if you are a business owner and you might be in one lane, you still, would you agree, should look and see, because it might be something that you can do. I know plenty stories of one sister we're looking forward to having back on, Sister Garrett. She she is one. They have an opportunity. She started a construction company. The very first year did 1 million plus. 'Cause she went and found out what she needed to do.
There
So
you go. And the
there are
key is she
opportunities like
went and
that.
found out. Information is
Yes,
powerful, and you
yes, it is.
can't be too informed. And another
That's right.
thing, sometimes mindsets get in the way. They kind of block our opportunities. They block our vision. Mindset of, oh, the federal government has money, they should give me mine, is the
Yeah.
wrong mindset. You have to perform. You have to be
Right.
able. The sister that you mentioned, she had
Right.
to know what to do, right? She had to get the
Right.
information, arm herself, get her
Right.
loans in order or whatever she needed in order to start her business.
That's
Well,
right.
the same is true. It
That's
really
right.
is you really have to take it seriously. Even though you hear large dollar figures, there that doesn't mean people are going to simply hand you money. You have to be positioned and be prepared to do the work.
Yes, you got to be ready. You got to be ready. Well, this is awesome. I know that like I said, your time is just so precious, and you do have other meetings that are scheduled today, and I don't want to hold you long. But we've been talking here with none other than Miss Tonya Saunders, the phenomenal Tonya Saunders with Washington Premier Group and mid-tier advocacy. And we're talking
Thank you.
about why business owners should, especially small business owners, should consider hiring a lobbyist. And some of the things you talked about, was the importance of the interest, to save on, to have access, to have influence. And so I know one time we had you on the show, we talked about the business of Capitol Hill. So let's face it, if you're a business owner, we know that there are challenges in politics, and there are differences of opinions, but when we're in business, our focus is our profitability, right? And if you have something that's affecting that profitability, is this not what our rights are as a citizen, right? To lobby,
That's
to
right.
request, for our congressmen and women and senators to listen to our cries. But one voice is very hard. So how does the lobbyist play in creating a larger voice? Is it, what if maybe if they can't afford to hire a lobbyist at that time? Is it another way that they can get involved? Or
Absolutely. I highly encourage smaller firms to join associations.
okay,
In fact, mid-tier advocacy is very
mid-tier
affordable
advocacy.
for that reason. And what you get by becoming affiliated or associated with other groups of like-minded or likewise organizations, you gain a collective voice. You mentioned Deborah, and it is very important. Sometimes that one lone voice is not enough to move Congress to act. And in fact, most times it isn't. But when you have a collection
I
of a
said,
lot of
I laughed when you
voices,
said that.
when you have a collection of a lot of voices saying the same thing, then Congress needs to pay attention to that. because, they're always touting small business is the backbone of the economy, right? Well, if it is, in fact, the backbone, then we have to sometimes get a little adjustment, for that spine to stay the backbone. Otherwise, it's going to be a broken back, which is not going to help. So what we try to do is elevate the issues for the members of the organization. We take our collective voice to Capitol Hill, if you will. We sit before committees. I myself have testified before the House Small Business Committee. I've also sat at the round tables before the Senate Small Business Committees. So now you have a larger platform to have your concern elevated and have it heard.
Right. And I mean, it's just common knowledge. And I don't want to say common sense, but it's just practical knowledge, because if I'm running a business, my focus is my skill set and my business. I've got to put all my energy into my business. But if I have a concern that needs to be addressed, and I got to take my time away from my business, again, that's going to affect my profitability there. So why not have someone that already has, it just makes sense, that has the skill set, that has the relationships, of which we talk about all the time here on Wealthy Sisters, that, your net worth is your network. It's who you know. We've been taught at school to get that education, to know these formulas, to know all of that. But without that, if you don't have relationship skills, building rapport, and understanding how to communicate, although today it's not like, we are seeing a great example on either side of our Capitol Hill there. But, when I talk about the communication piece, but that's what you do. There is the business. That's what lobbyists do. So I just really wanted to stress that point, today, that is important for us to start looking at other, particularly in the African American community, for us to start looking at those opportunities like that. Of course, mid-tier advocacy, I'm going to talk about that all the time. You talked about FEW, which happens to be for those who work for the government, but I'm also a part of the Women Impacting Public Policy. That's a nonpartisan organization that's all focused on women business owners, interest as well. So like you said, it's important to if you don't see it on your budget, to become a part of those associations. And that's another great reason, that we've talked about, that not just networking, but to help get your interests, those things that matter to you. Yeah,
Absolutely. And finally, in respect to cost, I remember years ago, I represented a company that was on the verge, on the precipice of going out of business. And so they had to weigh the cost. What is this? And I shouldn't use cost, but possibly value. What's the value proposition? In fact, they came to me and said, look, I need help. If this one thing happens, I can no longer do business. So sometimes you find yourself in those situations that it is just that significant. And if you don't understand or don't know, not saying that, that's not a critical statement, but simply a fact. If you just don't know where to go and what to do, then again, that's the role that I play, by walking you through the process of, well, as a contractor, you can go to the ombudsman regarding the situation. A lot of people don't know that there's an ombudsman, an advocate within the agencies who can look at your circumstance and go before the ombudsman committee so that you can testify and say, look, I need help right now. Otherwise, my business is going to disappear. So there are things that, again, as a lobbyist, I can do, or more importantly, not just a lobbyist, but also a consultant, strategist, crisis manager as well as a lobbyist.
And that makes me think about, I'm just thinking of examples of that and what we're seeing today. Somewhere there was a breakdown. Was it in the 80s? I don't remember, and I know you know best on this, but when the whatever was signed, I don't remember, is it NAFTA, whatever that was signed, that created these factories. There are several reasons why a lot of our manufacturing companies closed. We can say, technology and all of that. But when it opened up the doors for us to send our manufacturing of all of our goods, is, overseas. And now we're in the crisis. Now we're seeing that, like, my husband is in the construction field. Everybody I talk to in that field, or even in others, the workforce is not there. You see it in the trucking. There's a need, because all of that, they took out the trade in our schools, right? That for the trade schools and all of that. All of that was just removed, and now we don't have that in our workforce. So it looks like something happened where it was a breakdown that nobody thought about.
Well, actually, Deborah, that's a very good point and timely, since we're again going through the pandemic and seeing where some of the areas from previous both previous policy decisions, but also corporate decisions. So you have both, and it's I think a conflation. Everything has now come together, and we are reimagining. Yes, we're reimagining our workforces. We're reimagining our supply chains. We're reimagining how to do all of these things at one given time, and it's going to take time in order to get a balance of what it's going to be in the future. You pointed out, I believe you were speaking of possibly NAFTA. There have been a number of trade agreements, but a lot of these kinds of issues were both, again, not getting into the weeds because I don't recall all of the details of how they came about, but I can just, from a high level point of view, make this observation. Some policies were at play in respect to address certain corporate interests and how they could make goods at a lower cost. And so therein lies, some of the trade aspects that you mentioned. Also, the fact that, there's always a balance, or maybe not as much, of importing and exporting. But a lot of it for major corporations was based on cost and lower labor rates. However, where we are today, again, we're reimagining what is our workforce going to look like? What is our actual capability of manufacturing goods here going to look like? What small businesses there again may find themselves in opportunities with innovative products or innovative technologies of doing things better, quicker, more efficient, and at a cost that they can afford. The infrastructure law, which passed, is providing a lot of opportunity with funds to get these things underway. When people hear infrastructure, they think primarily roads and bridges, but this actual bill, even though some of the other issues, as you hear about on television, are not necessarily included, there's a lot that's there to get a lot of people engaged in how we're going to do things right here, right now, for everybody.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I mean, I just think about what you just shared, and I don't want to hold you any longer, but my mind is just spinning. And particularly you talk about this infrastructure law, the benefit of, did we hear something in there about with the grants for education for maybe some entrepreneurs who are in the education field or want to
Absolutely.
create this to help train as you use the word, reimagining the workforce to help
Absolutely.
build those skill sets, and there's money, available for that as well in
Absolutely.
that infrastructure.
And with an emphasis on our underserved areas and minority communities. So yet
That's right.
again, in order to be a part of it, you have to be a part of it.
You got to be a
You know,
part of
you have to be a
it.
part of it.
Well,
So
thank
ask
you so
questions.
much. Yeah,
No,
ask the
thank
no.
you.
Go ahead. Ask the
Yes.
questions. What were you going to say? Ask the
No, I was going to
questions
say,
and
I was going to say, ask questions, get informed, and then get involved. That
get
was my
involved.
ending.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Tonya Saunders, for joining us today. I pray that you'll be able to come back and share more about, perhaps we even talk about this infrastructure law and what it can mean as well, for people to be able to leverage that. There
I'm
should be
happy
a
to.
lot of opportunities around that as well, and anything else that you have going on that we need to know about. You always welcome here on Wealthy
Oh,
Sisters
thank you
Radio
so
with the
much,
View.
Deborah. Yes, this was
Yes,
great. I'm glad I was
yes.
able to join you, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. And we want to make sure, let me put your website back up so everybody can know how to reach you. And if it's anything else that you want to share before you sign off, we have midtier.org and WashingtonPremierGroup.net. And they can
You
find you
got it.
on LinkedIn as
Yeah.
well.
Yes. LinkedIn,
Tanya
Twitter,
Saunders.
Facebook. I'm out there and
Uh,
available anytime.
Anyway,
Thank you,
all
Deborah.
right. Thank you so much.
Have
Enjoy
a
your
blessed
meeting,
day.
and I'll see you soon.
Yes, indeed. Take care now.
Okay.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Everybody
Thank you.
stay
Thank
safe.
you. Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Well, all right. Well, you guys heard it. What a wonderful, I told you, anytime we have those technical difficulties, it's always going to be a great show. I even forgot to think about the information that she could share with you all around that infrastructure law and government contracting. We've had some shows on that, but we're going to definitely ask Ms. Saunders to come back and talk about that because she is a definite expert in that arena as well. And so I'm going to put this up one more time here in case you missed it. GSA.gov, those are for some of the job opportunities. She shared with us that, the federal government is hiring. And guess what? If you've got a record, if you've got family members that have some type of record or what have you, they are considering everybody. It's something about divine timing. As I said earlier, necessity is the mother of all inventions. And as they're using the word reimagining the workforce, they're having to do that, not just in the federal government, but all across the corporate arena as well. So job opportunities, GSA.gov, the whole federal government, she mentioned, and SAM.gov for government contracting. So check that out as well. Well, next week, we know that we're going to have another phenomenal guest. That's right. She's my friend out of Dallas, Texas, Teresa Perkins. I am so excited to have her on. She is, when I tell you she is a fireball, she is something else. But I mean, an amazing award-winning interior designer. And she has a whole new line that I'm excited to have her come on and share with you about it, her story, an incredible story from Chicago. When I met her, she was in Vegas, now has moved to Dallas, she and her family, and build an incredible empire there in the Dallas area. So join us next week to hear from Teresa Perkins. Join us next week, God willing. We will be here to provide you with more inspiration, encouragement, and that practical knowledge to help you have that positive impact in your life and in your business. So with all that said, thank you again. Remember to like, subscribe, and share, and tune in next week. God willing, we'll see you then. Bye now.
This has been another episode of Wealthy Sistas Radio. Thank you for joining us. Catch the full hour encore Thursdays 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern and 24/7 at wealthysistasradio.com. The opinions of our guests do not necessarily reflect the opinions of our hosts, staff, or partners of Wealthy Sistas Radio.